Okay, we are right at the 1 p.m. Central Time mark, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to Building Your Future, Career Paths for Military Families. I'm Madi, Dominescy, Director of Safety 2.0 Programs, and I'll be the host for this Building Safety Month event. In case you missed something or know someone who was not able to join us, we will be recording this webinar. I started the record right before I started speaking. Today, you'll hear from our panelists, hear about their experiences related to military families joining the building safety industry. We will have a Q&A at the end of this session, so feel free to use the Q&A feature found on the right side of your screen. And you can use it throughout the presentation to submit questions for our panelists. If you have a question for a specific panelist, please indicate who your question is for. Now, I'm excited to introduce our panelists. We have Kris Bridges, who serves on the Code Council Board of Directors, building official and code administrator of City of Martinsville, Virginia, and a U.S. Navy veteran. He served 10 years. Elizabeth Ryder, building official for CSG Consultants, and a U.S. Air Force veteran. Amber Paxton, Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer, Township of Moon, Pennsylvania, active in the Air National Guard for 19 years, and I know she's also a military spouse. And Heather Wallace, Project Manager, Momentum Innovation Group. She is leading the development of a workforce development program to address industry labor shortage. We're going to kick off with a brief introduction of the Code Council's Military Family Initiative, and then we will spend the rest of the time with our panelists and getting your questions and having them answer them. So we're going to get started with what is Safety 2.0. So Safety 2.0 is several different programs that address bringing new people into the building safety industry. Obviously, the primary focus of this session is our military families program, but we have several programs that tie into this, and you'll hear me reference them, and you might hear our panelists reference them too throughout this session. What's new with Safety 2.0? So if you don't know a lot about Safety 2.0, I encourage you to visit our website because we recently refreshed the website. We actually added a lot of information for veterans. So there are resources on how to, and we will obviously talk about this more today, but there are resources on how to cover the expenses of training and education, how to get reimbursed for your certification exams, things like that connect directly to military veterans. We also have been having, over the past year, some virtual mentor program networking events. We will discuss the mentor program because I think it is a great way to get connected into the building safety industry and get connected to specific people in areas that you are interested in pursuing. We also have had Safety 2.0 informational sessions like this one, and a lot of new industry partnerships and efforts that relate to the military family program. And so we'll talk about those today as well. Specific to the military families program. So one of the main reasons we have a military families program is because military experiences and skills translate very well into the building safety industry. A lot of our members are military veterans and have those experience going into a lot of the jobs that we offer certifications for, or a lot of jobs that our members serve in. I don't want to speak too much to this just because we will have the panelists speak to this later on, but that is kind of our why to have the military families program. We also offer some information on how to fund your building safety career path after the military. So we have several ICC certifications that you can get reimbursed for the certification exams through the GI Bill. Also, each branch of the military has a COOL program, which is a credentialing program that offers reimbursement for education and training in order to actually get certified. I also, even just this morning, had a call with a jurisdiction in Virginia, Norfolk, that offers internships through the SkillBridge program. So military veterans can actually get placed in an internship in a building department, for example, and stay in that internship for up to 6 months. They also offer internships for spouses through SkillBridge, and those are for up to 6 weeks. So SkillBridge is actually run by or connected to the Department of Defense, and funding for military veterans and spouses. One of the ICC programs, as I mentioned, is the mentor program. You can find a mentor, and you can also become a mentor. So I think that we have a mixed audience today. So we probably have several members who are already in the building safety industry who are interested in this program. We would love to have you become a mentor so that when we have a military veteran or a military spouse trying to find a mentor, we can pair them with you. So I want to make sure that I am addressing everyone in the audience and how they can get involved. So some ways to start, if you are interested in getting into the industry, we have a free 6-month membership for military veterans and military spouses. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. You can also join our mentor program. If you are already a member and you happen to be a veteran or happen to be a military spouse, or you are just passionate about reaching out to the military community, you can share the building safety industry in your community. If you have military bases in your community or your area, that's a great place to start and share with them the opportunities in the industry. We also have a military families advisors group. Elizabeth Ryder is part of that. And we would love to have new faces in that. If you're interested, it's really just to support the ICC military family program and continue to build our efforts moving forward. Okay, so we are going to move into our panelist discussion. Again, if you have any questions about what I've shared, or if you would like more information, feel free to ask a question in the Q&A box, or I will share. I think we all plan to share our email addresses at the end of this session. So our first question to kick us off is, can you share your connection to the building safety industry and how did you get involved in this industry?
You want us just to start going, Maddie?
Yes, feel
Okay.
free. If you guys just want to bounce the answers around, that would be great.
I'll kick it off. I'm a little bit of an outlier since I am not actually a veteran, but my father was a Vietnam vet and owned his own construction company for over 30 years. And Momentum Innovation Group, we're really focused on finding unseen areas of growth and innovation for businesses and industry. And our founder has a background in building forensics and was for many years looking at building failures and why they were occurring. And we also more recently have been connected with Ryan Kolker through the ICC and some work we did with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, working on the ICC offsite modular codes or standards. So that's my main connection to the industry there.
Kris, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I about 2 weeks after getting out of the military, I realized I needed a job. So I fell back on my high school days of being a helper building houses, and went to work for a local construction company. That was just a kickoff to uh, moving on to a safety director position within a local DuPont site that worked directly with the contractors there. As that DuPont site closed, I went on to a national construction firm as their safety director, and then pretty quickly realized just how tiring being on the road all over the country can be. And began my career as a property maintenance inspector in Danville, Virginia. And over the last 27 years have moved up to my hometown of Martinsville's building and zoning official. And of course, through that whole thing, probably the Cincinnati code development hearings a couple of years ago, just really opened my eyes to what the code development process was when I saw the little people of America get up and have one of the code change to start requiring metallic card swipes at a height that they could reach at all the gas pumps. I thought that was a reasonable code change until the guys from the National Electric, the NFPA National Electric Code guys got up and said, we absolutely cannot have electronic devices within 4 feet of the pump head. I was like, yeah, they kind of got a really good point there. And then the guys from the petroleum industry got up and said, it's not like we don't want these customers. We want all the customers we can have, but even if it was only $100 per pump, the cost of this kind of code change would be prohibitive if you multiply that by every single gas pump in the country. So I saw 3 very good, valid points that the committee had to work with and wrestle with on this code change. And I was like, so that's why we need to be involved in code development. And why all of my fellow code officials are involved with the code is pretty much that we should be involved in the codes that we enforce. It helps us locally with the enforcement and application of the code, and it helps us to just know what it is that we are doing. So that's my foray into this industry and has kept my attention for the last good number of years.
Love it. Amber, do you want to give how you got into the industry?
So I came to my job at the township, just kind of going from government job to government job. And I came over here just to do administrative, help out in the office basically. And then COVID happened and we had some workers leave the office, and I ended up doing 3 jobs at the same time. And I got into code enforcement since it was in community development already, and I was kind of filling the position while we were trying to fill the position. And then I ended up getting hired for the job, and then they hired my job that I was doing previously. So I just was kind of learning while doing it because I had done it for 6 months anyways. So they said, why not you? So that's kind of how I got into this. But I just, from moving over from the military, was basically just finding something different than being in uniform every day. I had children and I was a mom, and I went over to the Air National Guard and was just trying to balance my life with being a mom and having a career. And their dad was active duty, so just one of us would be there, all the time or something, so it would work out. But I got to be at home off and on with my children for 3 years, working and stuff, being over at the base, on and off of active duty with them. So I ended up coming over here and here to stay, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks, Amber. Liz, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me today. So I'm Liz Ryder. I'm a building official with CSG Consultants. We're a California consulting firm. And when I got out of the Air Force in 1993, I realized there wasn't a great need for C-130 loadmasters in the private community. So I needed to figure out which part of my skill set I could use from the military to transfer over to a civilian job. So I had done some scheduling in my squadron in North Carolina, and I used that administration piece to get a job with the city of San Carlos, California. And that's where I started doing some admin work and learning what a permit was and what a building code was. And from there, I went to just do all kinds of different jobs in building departments. And the great thing is that everybody has the opportunity to do these jobs with some on-the-job training. And there are a wide variety for people who don't want to work in the field. They want to work in an office, or they maybe have a military, some sort of disability. You can still get these jobs because they're available to you. And we do have a lot going on. So anyways, I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say.
So the next question, this kind of leads into the next question pretty well, is what types of support did you receive transitioning to civilian life, or did you participate in any training programs or courses to get started? I think this question also is kind of like, how have you, since then, how have you supported other military veterans in the transition into civilian life? Or are there training programs that you're working on or aware of that would be relevant to a military veteran or military spouse? And Liz, I think the first thing that came to my mind with this question is the support that you've received. I know you've helped get people sponsor or scholarships to like Educode. I think that there are a lot of opportunities like that in building safety, and I think we could share about that with this question.
Yeah, sure. You're absolutely correct. We in Region 1 and Region 2, which is basically the western portion of the United States, we're constantly looking for and always willing to accept any person from anywhere in the United States for scholarship opportunities. We have quite a few available to go to both the ICC conferences, which happen once a year. This one will be in Kentucky in September. And then we also have scholarships available for the Educode program, which is international code education program that happens in Las Vegas, Nevada in the early spring of each year. So far, we've found and sponsored 8 veterans to go do both of those conferences, plus also ride-alongs with building departments in like Texas. There was some veterans from Abilene, Texas, and we were able to get a hold of the building official there and coordinate ride-alongs similar to what's being done in Virginia, as you stated previously. So currently our challenge is just locating people who are interested in participating. And once we locate them, we're happy to work with them and get them whatever we can do. And especially now that things are virtual, it's kind of easy to get somebody on a virtual conference for training. So it's an exciting time. And we've done that for the past couple of years, and we look forward to doing even more in the future.
Heather, I know that you are working to address the workforce shortage by developing a program. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that in this relative to this question?
Yeah, I was trying to think how to formulate what we're doing around that question. I think there's just a lot of I think when military people are transitioning out of the military, we've been doing some studies with different factories and stuff and things that they're looking for. I always kind of chuckle because they're working with a lot of high school age people, but they're looking for a reliable workforce who knows how to do teamwork and show up on time. And I think there's within the offsite industry, there's a lot of opportunity for automation and innovation as we kind of move forward. And I think military veterans, number one, have kind of a leg up on that, because I think most of them are getting some technology that's not widely available, probably in a basic college course or in high school. So there's a huge opportunity for military to get involved in that sector. And obviously with these offsite standards and things being developed, there's a whole group of people that need to be trained up to understand those specific codes for the offsite industry as well. So yeah, and we're basically working on figuring out how to get construction and modular in front of younger people as well too, to kind of understand what the availability is for construction jobs and in both just on-site and off-site industry.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I think I knew that yours was focused on more on schools, but I knew you had also done a lot of research on like the needs of the industry.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. Amber, I think you are our newest to the industry. Is there anything that was specifically helpful to you as you joined and as you have learned? I know you talked about kind of on the job training, but is there anything specific that was helpful?
I can't say anything specifically that was helpful. It was just I think the relation from going from doing books and CDCs and going into the same thing here is you're learning on the job, doing CDCs, basically like figuring out stuff as you go instead of I'm not a very, I mean, I've gone to college and I have, you know, the education stuff, but I am so much more a hands-on person and learning as I go and using it as I go, rather than you teaching me something and then sending me out there later on, you know, and being like, implement it. Just to shadow people. One of the cooler things that I liked about working here in the township was some of the people have been here for like 30 years and I kind of shadow them and go along with them and see what they do. And they could tell me a little bit about what everything does or what they know about everything. So then I just kind of absorb it. And actually one just retired in January and I feel like I learned so much from him, you know, that I couldn't have learned from a book, you know, just by being with him everywhere he went, you know, water, sewage, how the street lights work, you know, or people parking dumpsters on the streets, what could happen, what has happened, who's gotten sued because that happened, you know, and just liabilities. And yeah, I learned a lot from him. I even learned things about like the DEP and water runoff or trash from people dumping or creeks and cars ending up in the creek and all kinds of stuff. So things that are not in the book that I did not learn from a book. So that's what I've liked. And I felt the same way about the military is whenever you come in, there's like older people, they take you under the wing, you know, you learn from them. And then you're not necessarily by yourself. Somebody tells you stuff that you need to know. And there's always somebody there to pick their brain a little bit before you're set out there to flap your wings on your own. And that's what I liked best, instead of learning from a book and then being like, you're an engineer today, you know, holy, you know, so that's what I like. It wasn't a hard transition. Although there are times where, I mean, of course you had to do things on your own. You're kind of like learn by fire or shooting from the hip. But that's how you get, like you stand on your own, you know, and you feel confident about your decisions, but you also learn from somebody who knew what they were talking about. So that's why you have your confidence too. So it's like their experience and your experience, and yeah. So that's all I got.
To kind of, Kris, I do want to give you the opportunity to answer as well.
Well, you know, a lot of mine has been over the years. I was in that generation that got out of the military, and we had a whopping 1 hour session of you're getting out. You need a resume. Don't file for unemployment. You're getting out because you chose to. Um, the transition from the military's perspective was not very much. I think that they're doing a little bit better job now. They've recognized that it's their responsibility to do that. But on the same token, they gave me a lot of tools that I didn't really recognize until after I was able to use them. You know, the military as a whole, your job is a highly technical one that you are very well trained to do. But you're also trained to do things that mirror what we do every day. There are times when you work as a team, there are times when you work on your own. Um, the integrity of what you do, the timeliness of what you do, the um, the scheduling, keeping appointments, making appointments, um, are all things that matter in our field today. The use of a technical manual, I can't fathom how many different technical manuals I had to use while I was in submarines, but they're exactly what the code book is today, and all of our different mil specs in the military for different products are just like our IES reports, our ES reports for products. Mil specs are just like the ASTMs and all the other many standards that we use and go by every day. And that's pretty much what I try to point out to veterans that look at me and go, wait a minute, I don't really have a construction background. Well, no, but if you're a machinist mate in the Navy, you know more about plumbing and mechanical than probably most of the plumbers out there today do. Um, the you may not know exactly how to frame a house, but there are guidelines out there for us to go by. And that's basically what the code book is a big set of guidelines. And much like Amber said, you're not going to be just thrown out to the wolves by yourself. There are plenty of us out there that are more than willing to teach you what you need to know in order for you to get the job done safely. And you get to also, much as you did in the military, protect the public.
Definitely. So going back to something Amber mentioned, and I think this can extend even beyond building safety, the building safety industry. What do you see? Have you or do you have a mentor? And what do you see as the value of mentorship in transitioning into a new career? And I'm not sure who wants to, I know Amber, you already spoke to that a little bit, but if there's somebody else who wants to kick off this question.
Sure. This is Liz Ryder again. So it's a lot of this job, no matter which job you would land in a building department, is on the job training. So the person who you end up with at the department is really that person who's going to mentor you. And that's what this is all about, is getting new people into the industry who have and just a passion for learning something new, and then seeing if this is the right job for you. And you're going to get on the job training because that's really what this is about. You can't learn this all from a book. You've got to see it and experience it. Even if you're doing an admin type job, permitting, for example, every single jurisdiction has a different permitting software program. So you've got to learn that. And same with the code books. I mean, the Wisconsin code is going to be different than the Georgia code. So even though it's all under the same basic guidelines. So it's all on the job training, and that's what the people in the industry are here for.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I didn't have a mentor coming back into the construction industry. I kind of got thrown into different aspects of it, which I think all of us would probably agree that it's a great way to learn at some point. Having mentors, I think, would make the process a lot easier. And if there's opportunity to have one, I would say do it. And then along the lines of just mentoring, I would say I would encourage people just with the idea of networking. Because I think I'll use a LinkedIn example of like Maddie and I have known each other for a little bit for now. And probably if you went on our LinkedIn, we have like 20 similar connections. I have probably 400 other connections that she's not connected to. So anything I'm learning from her that I can share with other people, that's beneficial to everyone. So I think in addition to the mentoring piece, where if it's available, take it. I would say also just network, talk to as many people in as many areas of the building industry in general, not just with codes and whatnot, and just make those connections and talk to people about what they know. I think that would be great.
I'll say that, there was no one single mentor for me. I can count probably most all of the past presidents of ICC as a member in one way or another, as a mentor, including our current president, Cindy Davis. I've had people from all over the country that I've learned something from along the way. And anytime you learn something from someone, they're pretty much a mentor in some fashion. And that's pretty much what I like to pass on to others, is that, I don't really think that any one of us has just one mentor, because there's so many different individuals out there that can contribute so much to our own successes.
Definitely. Amber, is there anything you wanted to add? I know you inspired the question. Okay. So a little bit of a different topic is, what types of skills do you think are beneficial in the building safety or the construction industry? Whether that is like Heather has experience in, based on research from different, whether it's a factory or building department, or whether it's based on your experience in transitioning from military to building safety, or just your experience in building safety. What skills would be useful in this industry?
Well, I would think that probably one of the key ones for me has been being able to pay attention to detail. It's something that was beaten into your heads from boot camp on, as far as, what your uniform was squared away, that you had to pay attention to every little piece and part, because there was a right way and a wrong way to do it. There was a right way and a wrong way to do just about everything in the military, and it was up to you to pay attention to detail. Well, for us out on inspections or doing plan reviews or whatever we do in our jobs every day, we need to pay attention to the details, because that's where people are going to start straying away from what they need to do and what's compliant and what's not. And not only that, but being able to look things up. Like I said, we had a ton of technical manuals on the submarine about every single system and every single component and every part of every uh, component that we dealt with every day. And you really had to be good at looking things up. Well, that directly correlates to looking things up in the code, what part goes where when you're looking for something, understanding that, okay, you get a little bit of the answer here, and then it'll point you to someplace else to get a little bit more of the answer. And then you got to read the part above it and below it in order to get a better picture of what it is. So those two aspects in and of themselves, I think, are really important in, not only what we do, but it's something that we learned in the military.
Kris, if I can piggyback on that, I agree with everything that you were saying. and also the ability to follow directions. If I tell you that you're a building inspector and you need to bring your clipboard, your pen, and your tape measure every day, you bring it. Don't leave something at home. And then also, if I tell you when you get to the job site, I want you to ask them for their permit card and their plans every single inspection, also do it. Don't just think, oh, I know it all and I'm just going to wing it on this one. So the ability to follow instructions and directions from the supervisor is really important. And that's also key to why we're talking to everyone today.
Heather, from your perspective, what are some of the character traits or skills have you seen that are needed?
Well, I mean, I would say it's pretty much the same as everybody's been saying. I think our current workforce issues have a lot of issues with reliability and being detailed. And these probably to some of us seem like really basic skill sets, but they're those soft skills that somewhere got lost in translation. So I think obviously if you've been in the military and you've made it through, you have a skill set that a lot of people are looking for. I think just really, again, just that reliability, the problem solving, and I think it just kind of relates to everything all the panelists are saying is just use your brain. Get there on time, do the work with the people, solve the problems, do it right. But these are all just skill sets I know that the industry is just looking for, and they're very basic, but sometimes need a little bit of training.
Yes. One of our audience members actually added a couple more. Wade Green shared through the intelligence side of the military that in project management can be a great skill. And then as an example of military police, they have soft skills with public and they're able to diffuse issues with people. I think those are some great addition to things that would be helpful to have in the field.
Can I add?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So one of the things was commitment to a cause. So one of the things in code enforcement is I always tell people to have pride in your surroundings because they seem to not understand, like, who cares if my grass is 10 feet high? I'm exaggerating. But I understand that it's not that big of a deal, but really or why is your trash out at the curb, or it's all torn apart and everywhere? But it's pride in where you live. Why do you do the things? Why do you pay for the house that you live in for it to look like the way it does, or why do your neighbors pay to live in a nice community to have your house look the way that it does with trash sitting everywhere? So it's kind of like a shame to have I just want someone to have accountability. And that's how I feel in this job as well. I mean, I'm not watched as much as I once was whenever I was in the military. Like someone's always watching over you. It kind of feels like you also have to have somebody watch over you, whatever rank you are or training level you are, you have to have somebody watch over you because you're trusted with only so much, right? But there's accountability, and that's what I expect of other people too, for having pride in what you do. That's why I show up here every day, because I take pride in what I do. And I don't want to do it halfway. I actually don't live in the town that I am the code enforcement officer for. I have no skin in the game. I live in a town over in the country. My house looks the way it does, where I live, but I have no skin in the game here. But I come here every day, and that's why I say, my saying is, help me help you make it moon, because this is your township. You live here. I want it to look nice for you. You pay the taxes, so that's what I kind of try and push with everybody. And then whenever I come back and they've done whatever's asked of them and it looks good, some people have never even been held accountable. And they're like, does it look good? You know, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is all it needed. You know, was the grass cut and the trash picked up? And they're like, this is great. You know, like someone came back and checked on them and they are just like so darn happy that I held up my end of the bargain too. I said I'd be back in 10 days and I was, you know? So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I like it. That kind of goes into one of the questions I had, which is why is being a building safety professional important? And why is it important to you personally?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, I'm new, so this was me starting here and being on the phone, being an administrative assistant too. And people are like, well, I don't understand why I have to get this done. But people look at it from the standpoint of they could build anything, right? You could put a deck on your house, however you want to put a deck on your house. But then when the deck falls off the house and you have 12 people standing on it and no one came to inspect it and you're liable, then what? So it's $50 for me to come look at your deck to tell you it's good, you know, and I come out there every single footer frame, you know, everything for $50 or whatever it is for your deck not to fall off your house, for you to be sued for the 12 people standing on it, for an extra set of eyes. And we've actually had people who have had bad people come and construct their deck, and you don't know anything about building. You didn't build the deck. The people constructing the deck did it. And we come out there and say, this is not good. This is not going to hold up. The wind's going to blow and it's going to fall off your house. And people have actually, they had to get together and sue, several of them together, sue the people building the deck because they had to get their money back and figure it out. So all that for $50 for us to say, you know, this is not good work. And it saved them in the long run from something that, you know, could have been a lot worse. So that's just like that's why building inspection is important. And people try and make a big deal out of it, like the government's getting in their business. But I mean, for the second set of eyes or for the protection, I think it's worth it. So you don't get taken advantage of in something that you don't know anything about or something that could have been missed. That's all.
That's a great point.
No, it's often we're often referred to as the silent defenders, where we are that little group of individuals that are looking out for public safety without riding around in big trucks with red lights or cars with blue lights. We very much care about your safety. We are serving our communities. We are serving our states. We are serving our country. It's just in a different way.
Definitely. Liz or Heather, either of you?
Sure. Yeah, this is Liz again. I definitely agree with everything that Amber was saying. That's a great scenario for actually every code that we have, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and of course the building example that she gave. Review. So if you're going to build a new house or an addition or something, we have people who look at plans and make sure that the plans conform to the code prior to the permit being issued. And that's when the building inspectors come in and make sure the builder is building it to the plans. And what in the industry we call that the minimum standard. That's what the codes are, the very bare minimum standards for putting something together so that people can live and work inside of it safely.
Liz, you faded out. Do you want to repeat that last sentence again? And now you're muted.
I'm sorry about that. Again, I
No,
apologize
you're good.
for my connection. What we were saying is just that it is important, and we hope that more people join us in this endeavor.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Maddie, I want to end that line of thought just saying, like, if we look around the country and then around the world, I think in general, building safety professionals are important because for the US, we actually have a standard, whereas other places don't have these standards. And you watch some kind of a natural disaster roll through some of these other areas of the world, and you see why actually building something to a standard matters. So for just the safety and livelihood of humanity, I think building safety professionals are very important. And just, with kind of our background with the building forensics and stuff, you see it's a very large amount of money that people put into housing and, owning a home. And so for something not to be built right, the homeowner ends up paying. I mean, yeah, you may get some money back for something, but it's a lot of turmoil to go through when something is not done right and you're having to go through the process of redoing it and pulling something down and, fixing mold or fixing just some kind of a foundational problem or whatnot. And so I think, even for people that want to go into codes and things like that, we always are telling people in the offsite industry, like, if you're interested in codes, learn the whole process of building. And I know people on the panel have been talking about kind of that hands-on, like it's really helpful to understand why you're telling somebody something is a code or a rule, because it's a little more beneficial when you're able to explain how it affects something instead of just saying, well, that's how it is, which is, I think, is a frustration that a lot of people have when someone's not knowledgeable enough to explain why a code exists. So I think that piece of understanding the importance of why the code exists and why it's important helps anybody who's being asked to follow a certain code to see that importance of it. So we always encourage, I know we work with a factory in Salem, and they work with a high school, and there's, Maddie, we've talked about this before, there's specifically an 18-year-old girl there. She's not military, but she is obsessed with codes and she wants to get into the industry. She's like, she's an assistant in a class right now that teaches a construction program in a high school. And the factory, and she had just told the factory, no, I don't want to come out and work for you guys. And they ended up talking her into coming out and doing kind of an internship or working. They get paid when they go out to their factory. But she was able to kind of learn all of the areas of building within a factory because they do everything pretty much within the factory, and also had the opportunity to walk a code official through some of the buildings and get the approval process going in that factory. So she really benefited from understanding all the levels of the construction process. And she feels like she's going to be a better code official or person in that industry because she understands that.
All right, we just have a few minutes left. The last question I want to ask is, what advice would you give to someone considering a career in the building safety industry?
So
Maddie put up a
go
lot
ahead,
of
Kris.
so Maddie, you've put up a lot of good information as far as what the ICC has. And then I would go all the way to the other side of that. Go to your local building department. Go talk to your local building official or your building inspector or your plumbing inspector, electrical inspector, or whatever the case may be. I think there's 363 different chapters throughout the United States right now. There's 12 different regions, some more active than others. I think that all of the chapter information and region information is also on the ICC website. And don't just go to one. If you go to one building department and you're not impressed, the next jurisdiction has one as well. I don't know of very many jurisdictions across this country that don't have some sort of a building department. It may be in the public works department. It may be within the police department. I've heard them, not just the community development department. They're all throughout the city or the county or the town or parish or whatever municipality you have. They could be scattered throughout any of those jurisdictions. So, but the other thing is every single one of us on this panel can probably find you somebody somewhere close by that we can recommend you to get in contact with anywhere within this country.
Definitely. Liz, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Kris said. And the last piece I would have to add to that is look at all your skills, not just what you were trained for in your technical, like say you drove a tank. Don't just look at that. Think, okay, what else did I do? Did I do scheduling? Did I do meetings with people? Was I doing public speaking? Whatever it is. So think about the other portions of the job that you did, because there's probably no tank driver jobs out there in the civilian sector, but there might be a job for you in some of the other skills that you learned. So that would be it. But yeah, everything that Kris said, I definitely agree with.
I would just say commit to being a lifelong learner. And I think military people are very apt to that anyways, but obviously with building safety and stuff, that it always changes. It's not a stagnant thing. So if you're committed to being a lifelong learner, I think you'll have a really good chance of being very successful.
Amber, anything you want to add? Okay. Yeah, I think those are great points. It is very surprising to me how many people got started by just reaching out to a building department and telling them they were interested, and then the building department, everyone that I've heard who has done that, they have always gotten a great response from the building department on getting them connected to someone, or a willingness to help them figure out what area they're interested in. That is one thing that I'm always not just surprised, but I always admire about our membership is the willingness to bring people in and to help them move forward and help them step by step throughout the process. Like if somebody is interested in building safety, they want to get you involved and they want to help bring you over into building safety. So, Kris, I thought that was a great point. And then just being a lifelong learner, and then also I have seen that several places, Liz, where you were saying to think about your other skill set, because the skills that you have can always apply to a job, especially with all the different scenarios that you experience in the military. So I loved those answers. And I think that they answered, we do have a question from the audience, which was, he says, his name is Jason. I am a 20-year retired Air Force. I'm now a building inspector specialist in the industry for 6 years. I just joined ICC Heart of America, which is a great chapter. How does one join the mentor program? Which, if you look in the chat, I did link to our military families career path page. And you can join the mentor program on that page. It's towards the bottom. But the second part of his question is, how would you recommend to join other boards or groups? And he is also interested in attending the conferences that we talked about. So any recommendations on next steps for Jason? I have some, but I want to give you guys the opportunity as well.
Yeah, you've got a great past board member over there in Heart of America, in both Tina Rakes, and name just jumped out of my head, but you've got several individuals that are active in both code development and in mentorship within Heart of America that can certainly help you out. That's both in municipalities, and Irene Knott, right? She's an architect with Heart of America that in that active in that chapter. Also, I would point you towards the Code of Honor scholarships that actually just opened up for Louisville. Anyone that can apply for those, they do ask you to participate in a couple of specific items at the conference if you do get that scholarship, but it's not onerous by any means, and it's certainly a path to get you there for the first time and get you exposed to all the other area ways that you can keep coming back.
Yes, and then if Madi shares our emails, Jason, feel free to send me an email, and I will get back to you with some details on how you can also apply for the scholarship money that Region 1 and 2 have available.
All right. I think that's it. He said, thank you all so much. I think that is all we have for today, unless we have any other questions. Hold on. I'm retired military, but do not have the GI Bill grants to help the cost of testing. George, I would love to talk to you offline and figure out more about your situation. Obviously, there are different parameters around the GI Bill and around the COOL programs, just for everybody in the audience. And so I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one and see what applies to your situation. So I am going to, this is my email address. So if you wouldn't mind emailing me, and I can try to help you individually. Okay, I am going to go ahead and wrap us up. When I will send everyone who attended this meeting, I'll send out contact information for our panelists so that if you want to contact them, you will have the ability to. But for now, thank you so much to our panelists. I so appreciate all of your time and appreciate all of the effort you put into making this session happen. And thank you for attending this Building Safety Month event. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.